Hi, I'm Eileen Mendoza, class of 21, joined by Betsy Hellman, class of 93. We are proud members of the Princeton Women's Swimming and Diving family, and we're here for a coffee break as part of the celebration of 50 years of women's athletics at Princeton. So I guess we can just start off by briefly introducing ourselves. I'm Eileen. I swim backstroke and IM for the swim team. I'm majoring in anthropology, and I'm currently a senior, and I am currently off campus at home in Norwalk, Connecticut.
Betsy Hellman, I was class of 1993. I was, a butterflyer and freestyler way back when. And I am also home in Connecticut, where I've been for about the last year. I usually work in New York City. So how do you keep yourself motivated, to get up every day and do your thesis and without that kind of structure that you were talking about, which is one of the great things, right, about being on campus is getting inspired by everybody else. So how are you handling it?
So my club team at home I'm actually very fortunate to still be able to train with them. I made the decision that even though I'm retired technically, I think it would be a little bit more of a distraction if I stopped swimming suddenly my senior year and just went all into school mode. So I'm still training full time, which has been such a blessing. So that definitely
Good for you.
provides me some structure. Obviously being a captain, that definitely I have a purpose. I have to lead a team, whether sometimes that changes meaning. Sometimes it's just a group message in the morning. Sometimes it's organizing Zoom activities. Definitely nothing like I'm sure what your captain experience was like. But just having some goals outside of academic interest, which I think is what athletics does for us. Keeps my mind like fresh when I turn to the computer screen and decide it's time to write. I think that time pressure definitely I work a little bit better under normal circumstances if I did still have a competition season.
So Susan Teeter was my coach for all 4 years, and I think at some point Susan wanted the later teams to sort of understand where things had come from, and so had asked us, "Will you come down on on the Saturday early on a Saturday morning and have a bagel and do this with the team?" And it turns out I thought to be really great. Because I think what we have to pass, we have a thing and we say this is what Princeton swimming meant to me and I want to pass it on. And what I learned, at least, everybody had something different to say, right? It meant something different to everybody else. To each person it meant something different, but to have that, but knowing that you got to share that experience not only with the team that you swam with, but then with earlier teams, and you want to pass it on to later teams, I thought was a really great experience to have. So I'm really glad that you guys enjoyed it, because it means a lot to the alums, certainly.
For sure. I think one thing that as we're in this crazy recruiting season, one thing that I at least keep telling and my teammates keep telling these recruits is that something that makes Princeton athletics and swimming and diving especially special is the alumni. Like you'll have alumni coming up to you at swim meet saying like, "Hey, that was awesome. I've been watching you the entire season." Like just the love that comes from our alumni family. And I've been so fortunate to be a part of some friends of swimming and diving calls. And they are so passionate about people that they have never even met. And so I think something that this pandemic has done for us is at least made us aware that there's this group of people and that there's this family and there's this coach that is retired but still is like thinking about us every day. And I think that is that is what Princeton swimming means to me. That is so unique to our program. So thank you so much for being a part of our journey. I don't think we realize like how important the team behind the team is until now. Swimming obviously is like a super strenuous sport. You don't really quite forget it even when you're done. So how do you think that swimming training, especially the Princeton swimming experience, has carried on into like other aspects of your life after Princeton, and how do you remember it?
Yeah. Yeah, swimming is I was reading an article the other day about it popped up in my newsfeed about cross training for your kids. So if they're like a basketball player, this would be a good sport for them, another sport for them to do. And they were sort of giving the pros and the cons of the other sports. And when they said swimming, and they said, but would be really mentally tough. And so I kind of had to laugh about that, right? Because, yeah, I mean, right, you're spending a lot of time inside your own head
Right.
watching the center line of the pool below. So yeah, I think swimming, you it's just you inside your own head for probably 3 to 4 hours a day. And so, self-reliance, resiliency, and looking really inside for the strength to finish practice, but then to get up and do it again a couple hours later. So yeah, I mean, it's certainly all of that comes in later in life, right? Um, to just pick up, just keep moving forward, keep plowing ahead, and literally, taking the breath and taking another stroke and keep going.
Right, right. Definitely. And I guess like I feel like I'm just asking you questions that the recruits ask me, but how did you what does education through athletics mean to you? Like how did you balance a Princeton education with such a high level of competition?
Yeah, I the education through athletics I think at Princeton is, to me, it's the biggest gift, right? Is It's not an either or, it's an and it's a really special place where you can get the and. So when Teeter was recruiting me, I was choosing between Princeton and a Big Ten program, and she said to me, you should really decide where do you want to be in school. And for me, that turned out to be um, super, super important, a super important question, because my freshman year I did outdoor action, which is the
Right.
hiking before you get to school, and I managed to twist my ankle, and so I showed that back on campus on crutches. So I was on crutches for the first very long while. Then I got strep, and then I got mono. So I was
Oh,
not in the water for the first several months of being on campus. And so if I had chosen a place to go to school where I wasn't interested in being in school, that would have worked out rather poorly for me. So to me, it's you get to have your cake and eat it too at Princeton, right? You get a first class education, and you get to swim at a top-notch program, and so it's an and you don't necessarily always get to do and in your life, and so it really is the biggest gift.
right. Yeah, I think I agree. Education through athletics, I definitely it was very daunting first coming into Princeton as a freshman, but I think something that is super like shocking coming from I think anyone coming from a small club team or like people have different goals, people are different ages, but just stepping on campus and being in the water, being in the classroom with a group of like a force of 30 women that have the same goals both in the classroom and in the pool about the same speed as you are obviously different across events like that was so eye-opening to me. I'd never really had that growing up and I just did not know what it was like to be a part of such a high achieving group of women. And I think that is definitely what education through athletics has taught me is that if there's no right, there's no either or. Like everyone is expected to be great, or you already are great both in the classroom and in the pool, and people are always willing to help you out, especially on the team. So I think that is what makes Princeton super
Yeah,
super unique.
yeah. I mean, it really makes you up your game, right? Because you
Right.
come in and there are all these really fast swimmers, but also really, really smart. So Rhodes, I swam with a Rhodes Scholar, right? So people
Mhm.
who really, really make you up your game on all fronts, in the classroom, in the pool, and frankly outside as well.
Very grateful that I was able, first of all, that we were able to win a Ivy League championship, help Brett win his first Ivy League championship before, unfortunately, my class's careers had to come to a close. So definitely made me think a lot about the times that I had in my first 3 years at Princeton and be grateful for that. Like you said, yes, we were planning so every year we do a Collegians 5K run to benefit breast cancer research. And so I think this year it really made us stop and think, re-educate our teammates, like what exactly, we need to think about the causes, like should we support another organization because there are other, more pressing issues or equally as pressing issues, and we need to think about what we're supporting before we just blindly go and organize a 5K. So I think definitely re-education. A lot of that happens on our team this year, thinking a lot of time outside the pool, thinking about who are we when you take our sport away? What is our identity, even if we can't train? And through hardships, we got really creative, and it was really hard sometimes for people to wake up on West Coast time and show up to team meetings. But I'm so proud of our team, and just like, there's no instruction manual on how to coach or how to lead or how to be a part of an athletic team that's not practicing or competing. But I think it starts by just showing up. Thank you so much for joining me on your morning coffee chat. And I hope that we will be reunited soon on campus when it's safe.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Cheers.